Hey guys, sorry, I heard my cat doing something. Vlogmas day 6. Since this is more videos than I typically post in like a 2 or 3 month period, I am going to do some tags. My goal is to do them on Tuesdays. I know, basic, that's fine. I have not really been tagged in anything lately. I'm gonna say I don't really do tags, and that's probably why. But I was tagged in a bunch of stuff like in 2014, 15, 16, like my first few years on booktube. And so this one I actually saw Roxy from the chaotic bibliophile do in June. I guess I this note was made in June. Anyways, sorry, that was a little bit of a mess. So I am going to post, me and Roxy aren't friends on Goodreads. That's super weird. I'm gonna link her video below that I saw in June. And then in her video when she was talking about this, I think she said that that she couldn't find the original, or oh, it says tag creator, but I don't know. Yeah, video unavailable. So I guess the person is not making videos anymore or something. So anyways, let's get into it, as the kids say. Question 1. Sorry, I just realized that. I don't know. I'm weird. Okay, question 1. Where do you buy your books? So I try really, really, really hard to only buy my books from independent bookstores in the United States. So I mean, I live in Portland, so obviously I have Powell's, but I actually try not to purchase from Powell's. My preferred bookstore is Broadway Books, which is on Broadway. Laverne? What are you doing? Sorry, Laverne is being crazy. Anyway, so Broadway Books on Broadway is like my preferred bookstore that I purchase. I also like to just buy randomly from other indie bookstores, and I just have them shipped to me. If I'm feeling lazy though, I'll just go to bookshop.org because it is easy. And if I'm purchasing something that is specifically like a UK edition that is not published in the US, then I'll purchase from Blackwell's. The only time that I would ever purchase from Book Depository, I would not even purchase anything from Amazon. Like, I understand Book Depository is owned by Amazon, but like just going to the Amazon website fills my blood with sadness and rage. So I will occasionally, every once in a while, buy a book from Book Depository if it is the only place that it is available. So it does depend, and some things, are out of print. Like Virgin with a Memory, I'm really sad because I wanted to buy it for like a handful of people because I loved it so much. There's only one copy left on Blackwell, so I purchased that. There are some available on Book Depository, but I had already like bought other things for them because I didn't think to look there. So at some point next year, I'm probably gonna just clean out Virgin with a Memory because I love it so much and I want everyone that I love to own it. And I'm sad that there's not more copies of it available in general. But yeah, so small bookstores, indie bookstores, pretty much I'm gonna say 98% of what I purchase. I'm gonna go higher than that. I'm gonna say basically everything that I purchase is from an indie store. Oh, or Barnes & Noble. I will buy from Barnes & Noble occasionally. And that is also kind of dependent on if I'm like visiting a place and I'm visiting from out of town, and I like to buy books when I'm on like a road trip. And so if I lost my train of thought. If Barnes & Noble is the only store available, then I will. And I also actually do find a lot of value in shopping at Barnes & Noble because they're the last major book retailer in the United States, besides Amazon. And so I want them to stay in business because if they're not in business, then it's a really big problem for publishing in general. So I do like supporting Barnes & Noble, but I will try my hardest to support my store, which is Broadway Books. That's my, I've got many places that I purchase from. Question 2, do you ever pre-order books? And if so, do you do this in-store or online? I don't think I've ever pre-ordered anything. No, I can't think. I've purchased things like the day that they've released, but I've never, oh, I'm sure I pre-ordered Harry Potter when I was, in high school or whatever. But besides that, no, I have not. I don't do that. On average, how many books do you buy per month? Do we want to talk about that? I'm all over the place because, again, it depends. When there are events, then I purchase more books. So if I go on a trip, I purchase more books. If it's indie bookstore day, I purchase more books. If it's Wordstock, so November and April, I tend to have the hard, wow, why can't I talk? The highest, like, wow, where's my book? There it is. Usually April and November are my biggest acquisition months. But this month it's kind of been all over the place. I'm going to say roughly 10 a month, I guess, is about how many I purchase. But it varies between 3 and let's say like 30. Okay. Do you use your local library? I don't. So I have always had this kind of like thing about touch. So I don't like to touch certain types of things. And I just have, it's just like a thing. Like I didn't used to be able to touch my pizza when I was eating it. I would have to like touch it with a napkin. And so like I have this, I did for a period of time when I was in high school do like some volunteer work at the library. So I wonder if that's why, but I have this like feeling inside of me when I think of a library book. I don't know, something about it feels like just dirty to me, and I know that that's like not the case. And I purchase used books, so it really doesn't make any sense. But I just, something about touching things that lots and lots of people have touched just fills me with a discomfort that I can't quite express. I will say when I purchase a used book, my assumption is that like maybe 2 or 3 people have touched it because it's used. So usually it's in a person's home until it's sold. And I do have a limit on how used the book can be when I purchase it. So like it has to be relatively in good condition. And I also have a fear of ruining and breaking other people's things. So I don't want to borrow a book from the library and then accidentally ruin it, and then that will be very sad. So those are like the main reasons. I do borrow CDs and DVDs from the library, but same thing, like I just don't like touching them. So I have to wash my hands after I touch them. I know I sound like I need help, and I'm sure I do need a little bit of help, but don't we all? Let's be honest. And if so, how many books do you borrow at a time? That's question 5. I see my previous statement. Oh, actually, this is kind of a lie. I do use Libby. So I use Libby, which is the library app, and I use Hoopla, but that's mostly for CDs. So I borrow things on Libby if I don't think that I'm going to like them. So if I have to read something for book club or booktube prize, I haven't been doing that, but I should have been doing that. So if I want to listen to an audiobook, then I'll borrow it from Libby because I refuse to pay money for an audiobook. And if it's like just something I don't think I'll like, then I'll borrow the ebook. Or if I'm doing a lot of work, sometimes I can't. I'm a nurse and I do various procedures on patients, and I'm contracted out, so I do different types of things with different types of patients, and sometimes it's appropriate for me to have a book with me when I'm doing my procedure, and sometimes it's not appropriate. And so it's nice to have an ebook on your phone because it's much more socially acceptable to like scroll on a phone, and it's a lot easier to clean a phone than it is to clean a book. So I forgot about that. What is your opinion on library books? I love library books. I love the idea of library books. I love the accessibility. I love that people have options and that like, you know, reading is not cost prohibitive. I understand that different libraries have different like abilities, but I think there's a lot of places that do interlibrary loans. So I am all for it. And when I was a kid, now that I'm thinking about it, I borrowed books from the library all the time, like all the time. I just don't want to anymore as an adult. How do you feel about charity shop / secondhand books? I love them. I love a good cheap book. Although sometimes if they're cheap, you like purchase too many. So it is nice to be limited by cost. You know what I mean? So like if I can buy one book for $20 or 10 books for $20, sometimes it's nice to only be able to purchase one because there's not enough space behind me for more books. But I am all about used. Again, I do prefer them to not be like super used. If there's like stains and stuff, then I get a little icked out. But if they're just regular used, I do love when they're used and people have written in the books, like annotated or have written their name or something like that. I really enjoy that. And I keep forgetting every year, it's like a goal of mine to annotate my books or to like use my books almost as a journal and mark, you know, when I'm reading the book and what's going on in my life inside the book. But I always forget because when I'm reading, I'm focused on what I'm reading. Question 8, do you keep your read and TBR pile together / on the same bookshelf or not? I do not. I keep my books segregated. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5 bookcases of unread books, and then 2 bookcases of read books. But now the read books are migrating because there's not enough space left. This is actually also a lie, because I put a lot of my read books in boxes and put them in storage because I don't have enough room on my shelves. And so I have a tendency to only, like, I prioritize keeping unread books on my shelves because they're the ones that I'm going to read. So they're the ones I need to be able to see. I'm hoping that Jake and I will be able to move at some point, like within the next year. And then at that point, I would like to have all of my books on display. So we'd need probably at minimum 1 more bookcase, maybe maybe 2 more bookcases. I have a lot of books. Let's see. Do you plan to read? All right, sorry. I'm running out of space on my phone. I'm going to need to delete a lot of stuff before I go to the Dominican Republic because oh wait, I'm going to have to bring my computer if I want to edit videos and upload them. Anyways, that's not the point of this video. Sorry. So where was I? All right. Question number 9 is, do you plan to read all the books that you own? I do plan on attempting every book that I own. I have been purchasing books for a long time. Over 10 years, 11 years, I'm not sure. And I do have many books that I purchased over 7 years ago. And again, a lot of like, oh, this is cheap. I don't think that I'm going to love it, but it's at the library book sale and it costs $2. So I might as well purchase it, and then we'll see if I like it or if I don't like it. So I definitely think that there are some books on my shelves that I'm not going to enjoy. But my goal is to at least attempt each book that's on my shelves. I do give less time to certain books if I am already biased against them. I should change my parameters to giving books at least 35 pages, just in case. No, screw that. Sorry, just talked myself out of it. Yeah, I would like to at least attempt every book on my shelf. But I read roughly, let's say 60 books a year, and I have 1,600-ish books on my shelves unread. So I can't do that math right now, but it's going to take a long time for me to read what I have, and I keep purchasing more things. So who knows? Maybe I'll die before I get to them all. All right, question number 10. What do you do with books that you own that you feel you will never read / felt you did not enjoy? I try to sell them at Powell's, or if Powell's doesn't take them, then I put them in a little free library. So I do not, to me, that's why my read shelves are smaller too. I mean, I've definitely read less than I own for unread, but I don't keep everything that I read, because if I didn't love it, then I don't keep it. There are some exceptions. There are a couple of books that I've given 2 stars, or that I haven't really enjoyed when I read them, but I felt like there's something more to them, and that I would like to explore them in the future. So I might read them in the future, but they're not at the top of the list of priorities. So it kind of depends. It also depends if I'm trying to keep a series together or something like that. I don't love Jane Austen's books, but I'm probably going to keep them all anyways, just because whatever, it's Jane Austen, or, other stuff like that, where if I think that I should own it, or that's wrong because I don't keep anything because of other people. But, if I find value in owning something, then I will keep it. But if I don't, then I will get rid of it, because there's a limited amount of space, clearly. And then, have you ever donated books? Of course. I've donated books to library book sales. If I have a friend of a friend opened up a bookstore, and so I gave her a bunch of books. I do try to sell them, because, it's nice to get money back for the books that I've spent money on to buy more books. I feel like I've given away some books on, if I don't like something and someone wants it, I will send it to them. And again, little free libraries. I mostly just plop things in little free libraries. That's the easiest way to donate a book, in my opinion, because there's one the next street over. Have you ever been on a book buying ban? I've attempted to do some kind of curbing of my expenditure. So Elena did the Bookopoly thing where, for each whatever, then you get a certain amount of money, and then that's what you can spend on books. But I just never stick to it. So I've kind of given up on it. I do, again, want to be a little bit more mindful because at this point, I do think that I own too many books that I haven't read. I acknowledge that. So I'm hoping that next year I'll do better, aka that I will read more than I purchase. But I just like don't find it logistically feasible because I participate in so many things. So, you know, if I do BookTube Prize, I have to buy books. I have to buy books for Indie Press Project. Like I'm sorry, Invisible Cities Project. There's just like so many things that I want to be a part of. And most of the time, and like my book clubs, my meetup book clubs. So a lot of times, like I need to buy books for those things. So there's just like nothing that I can do about it. It's just going to happen. And then question 13, do you feel that you buy too many books? You know, I'm an adult with a job, so no. Like in a realistic sense, no, absolutely not. I don't think there is such thing as buying too many books. We live in a capitalistic society. I love supporting local bookstores. I love supporting small presses. I love gifting people books. I you know, I love spending money on books. And I'm an adult, so I can do whatever I want with my money. But I think that I do own too many unread books. So I wouldn't say necessarily that I buy too many books. I say that maybe I don't read enough books for how many I purchase, if you know what I'm saying. So I'd love to be able to like read 3 and buy 1. Maybe that's what I'll try to do next year. I don't know. Because 5 to 1 is not realistic. But maybe I'll do a 3 to 1. We'll talk about that when I get to my goals video. But yeah, so I don't really think the problem is that I purchase too much. I think the problem is that I don't find enough time to read. I'm choosing to spend my time doing other things. This year has been particularly busy, to be fair. But yeah, I think that's like my problem more than how many I'm purchasing because that's just how it is. So anyways, those are the questions. Those are my responses. I'll link below, again, Roxy's video, and I'll link below the question. So if you want to do this tag, feel free. You are tagged. I am curious about, and if you've done it, let me know and I'll go watch it. I am very curious about other people's book purchasing habits. I know that this is like a fraught topic on BookTube because everyone loves to like judge other people for buying books, and other people love to complain about being judged for buying too many books, and it's just like so exhausting. Like just just buy them or don't buy them. That's it. But yeah, so let me know and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.